Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. I am back here on a beautiful Sunday morning, and man, I've got a story for you. But before we get into that, let's see who's here. Looks like Cooley is first in the stream this morning. Good morning, Cooley. EOD Kaboom, Tim checking in from well, I think where it's maybe almost tomorrow. Weird whole thing, and I'm not sure he's that way from the United States, but the clock's that way. I don't know, but Tim is checking in, and good morning or good afternoon, or I guess good evening, Tim, whichever part of the world you're in. Dave checking in this morning. Good morning, Hillbilly Ham. Let's see here, running down the list. Robert checking in this morning. Good morning, Robert. Jimmy checking in from the great state of Texas. Ron checking in this morning. And what did I see here? Oh, guys, we are celebrating a Hamiversary today. Robert's checking in, said he's been licensed for 1 full year today. So congratulations, Rob. Hopefully this will be a wow. All right, sorry about that. So hopefully this is just a beginning of a lifelong hobby here, and you will enjoy every bit of it. Let's zip into here. Jason Lockwood's checking in this morning. Good morning, Jason. Eli's checking in. I'm sorry, Levi, not Eli. Levi. Don checking in this morning. Good morning, Don. Mike also checking in. Got Atlas's handler, Brickhouse. Chris checking in this morning. And looks like we got Greg here. So Greg's checking in from Central New York this morning. So good morning, Greg. Yeah, interesting turn of events. I was here working on the truck yesterday, getting ready for the More Expo, getting battery done, power kind of rewired. I've got a 300 amp hour battery in the back of the Bronco, and power distribution. I've got an Epic Power Gate that allows me to it does a couple different things. One, it takes power in from the vehicle, and that could be, and I've actually got it both here in the truck and also in the shack. So a power source. I'm feeding the one here in the car off the truck, off the truck's battery, and the alternator feed, and then at home, it would be just from a power supply, a 12-volt power supply. That's power coming in. The battery then connects to it, and then I've got an output. And then this version of the Epic Power Gate has also a 10 amp MPPT solar charger built into it too. So it will charge the battery. So what happens is when I'm got power coming in from the vehicle or my 12-volt power supply, it will use that. When that power drops down below a certain voltage level, it will switch over to the battery. So that works out great, especially in scenarios where you lose mains power. You're immediately on battery, so it will run off the mains, or in this case, off the truck power if the engine was running. While that power source is there and it's feeding it, it then takes some of the power coming from the mains, or in this case the alternator. It will then feed and charge the battery on the backside. So it's got a battery charging circuit in it to do that. And then if I have solar panels connected to it, which I've got Another long story. Well, actually, it's not long, but I don't know if you guys have seen it. I've got a purpose-built solar panel coming for the Bronco, and there's a company that makes these things in several sizes, specifically designed for whatever vehicle. So if you've got a Toyota, you got a Ford, it can be pickup trucks. They've got them so they'll go on top of rooftop tents and things like that. But it'll be right there in the sun the whole time. As long as the sun's up, I'm getting power. So what it'll do is also feed into the solar charger to keep the battery topped off. So somebody was asking how I charge the battery. Jason's asking that. So that is how I charge the battery. Now there are some cases, maybe where I'm using more power than what that battery will, or that I can get charged up. For example, if I'm out camping, even if I have the solar panels on there, it may be overcast and may not get as much sun to utilize that as much as possible. So I do have a way to basically connect a battery charger. Now with the 300 amp hour battery, I have like a 50 amp hour charger, but otherwise it would be like a 20 amp charger. So it twice as much as what maybe the solar panels could give me, and more if I go with the 50 amp. So I also ordered this solar panel to have on the truck at all times. I ordered this thing at the beginning of April. It shipped from the City of Industry in California literally the next morning. It was in Indianapolis at the distribution center, I don't know, 2-3 days. It was pretty quick. And I got the notice from the post office that it would be delivered shortly. Hey, expect it on this day. And I think that date was like the 4th of April. I still don't have it. What has happened is that instead of coming south 20 minutes down the road to the, from the Indianapolis distribution center, it sat for a few days and then went up to Chicago. And it sat there for, I don't know, 3 days. And then it came back to Indianapolis. And it sat there for a couple of days. And as of yesterday morning, it was back in Chicago. So I don't know what's going on there. But what I do know is I'm getting ready to go on to a trip, and I don't have a solar panel for my truck. So first world problems, I know, and not a big deal. But it is a little frustrating. I don't understand in this modern digital age, even in the post office where they have barcodes and scanning and direction, how 20 minutes down the road from their distribution center is somehow in Illinois. I don't get it. Somebody, sometimes the transit routes, if you look at the tracking, it might do something silly like go from California to Chicago, then to Indianapolis, and that's kind of along the line there. But this one from there right to Indianapolis. I mean, we're a major distribution hub for them. Now it'd seem a little odd if it had gone to I don't know, Boston, and then maybe down to Atlanta, and then back to Indianapolis. Now that would not make too much sense, but so be it. So I won't be able to have that on, and not like I said, not the end of the world. I'll still be able to make the trip. Speaking of the trip, We are, I think, going to be live streaming tonight. Ham Radio 2.0 stream will be on, and the crew that's going to More Expo will probably be under talking about it. So make sure you check that out tonight. I will be streaming Wednesday for the kids table. It'll be a light episode since I'll be streaming there, and I'll see if some of the people that are there will want to jump on with the regular panel of people. And then Sunday, it's going to be up in the air on this stream from the More Expo. We're also looking at making another stop Sunday and staying overnight before we head out to come back. And then so Sunday, stay tuned. It'll be up in the air if I'm close enough to a park to be able to do the live stream. So Dave says a lot of static crashes this morning. And Dave, I was thinking, I heard last night, I was listening in on the after chat. I heard you talking to Josh about doing that radio comparison. I got some ideas, and let's touch base. But I think we might be able to do something at More Expo while we're there to do that and actually utilize some people who don't have a dog in the fight as far as listening to the audio quality of the two radios. We do that Coke and Pepsi challenge. See what people think. So let's touch base offline and see if we can't get something worked out to be able to do that and film it so you can get a good video. Got the bots on the Rumble stream there. So we are streaming today on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, and Rumble. Something I've been trying both on here and on also the kids table is doing the dual streams. Not everybody watches on a computer; they watch on their phone, and so sometimes having the vertical format. I think they probably like it. I personally think it's squished up. I'd rather just turn my phone sideways, but and do the 16:9. But some people like the 9:16. So it's there. If it is sometimes I guess hard to tell which is which. I wish YouTube would do a little bit better job of labeling the streams, because when you get presented, like if you go to the channel, you'll see both streams, whether you're on a computer or on a phone, right? You'll see both of them, and all they do is put a little icon out at the very end of the title, and sometimes that's not even seen. So you click on it. So if you're watching this on a computer and it's in a vertical format, if you go back to the channel graymanpota.com or go to the Grayman POTA YouTube channel, select the other stream, and then you can see it in its full format. But all the information's there, just in a different format there. Chris says there's a little phone that shows that it's in the vertical format in the description. Yeah, it's in the title, and it's at the very end of the title. And what I've noticed is that if the title is longer than what they display, I think you can do 100 characters on a title. And I don't know how many is there, less than 100, probably 50 to 70 somewhere before it just puts the ellipse in there. And if it's beyond that point, then it doesn't show. And so I think they should probably do market a little bit differently. Maybe put an overlay on the on the thumbnail or something that indicates that it's vertical versus horizontal, because I can't really pick different. You know what? Actually, I think I can pick different. I might do that. I think I can pick different thumbnails. Maybe I'll make 2 versions of the thumbnail and put an overlay on there that shows it's vertical. So all right, well, let's get on. So the other, well, actually, it's rambling today. Too much coffee. I've been drinking coffee all morning, so hopefully everybody's got a good cup of coffee. I did. I went to the other part of the park and got the truck parked, got the Spooltenna deployed, and I realized, because I was working in the back of the truck yesterday, I pulled some stuff out. I pulled out the 7300 Mark II in case, set it in the garage. Forgot to put it back in the truck. So I had to bring all the antenna back down and everything. And because I wasn't operating off the tailgate, it was just in the woods, I went ahead and came back over here to the lake. So I am at the lake today, and we can run through that real quick here. So a little overcast today. It's in the 60s. It was going to be a great day to get out there and just operate right off the tailgate. But 60s, and it's supposed to be like 66 by 9 o'clock. So I was excited about that. But stupid me, I forgot to bring the radio. So there you go. This is one of those cases, though. You know, you always try to pack. I try to pack for every scenario. Couple radios with me, couple antennas, couple things of coax, sometimes a couple power sources if possible, just to make sure I've got it. So sorry, I got to change share screens here. I had open ham clock shared. Stop me. Stop making solutions on Sunday morning. Good morning, Vaughn, Julie. Hopefully everybody's dressed this morning, guys. Dressed, fully clothed. Vaughn and Julie. You scarred me. Obviously, so I talk about it every week. All right. Let's find a frequency. So there was some QSO parties this weekend. Did anybody participate in those, make any contacts or anything? I did not get a chance. I was busy trying to get everything ready and prep for this weekend. Or actually, I'm sorry, not this weekend, this week. Dave said he's got a few in the Missouri QSO party, but Dave, that's your That's your backyard there, buddy. Guys. All right, let's see what's open on 40. I don't think there's somebody talking, but get off that. Is the frequency in use. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot. Is the frequency in use. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot. I say we got a resident retard back. Is the frequency in use. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. Kilo Echo 6, Golf Alpha Echo. Dave, good morning, 5-9. Hey, Dave, I copied the 5-8, my friend. Thank you for the contact today. I appreciate it. And 73.
Hey, 73, thanks for being out there activate.
All righty, thank you, my friend. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, QRZ. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. Kilo Quebec 4, Uniform Echo India. Jason, good morning, 5-2. I copy the 5-9 in North Carolina, my friend. Thank you for the contact in 73.
73, thank you, Sam.
All righty, thank you. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, QRZ. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by.
Alpha Bravo 4, Kilo November.
Alpha Bravo 4, Kilo November. George, good morning, 5-9.
Roger, good morning, 5 and 6, Georgia, 73, have fun.
All right, thank you for Georgia this morning. Have a great day in 73. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, QRZ.
November 0,
The November 0 station.
November 0, Oscar Echo Papa. November 0, Oscar Echo Papa.
November 0, Oscar Echo. Sean, sorry about that. November 0, Oscar Echo Papa. You're about a 5-5-55.
You're 5 and 7, 5 and and US 0016. QSL.
I got the first park 0016. What was the other park number?
Yeah, that's 8204. 8204. Yorktown National Battlefield, Virginia. QSL.
Roger, Roger. I copied 8024 and the other park number there 0016. Hey, thank you for the contact. Have a great activation today in 73, my friend.
73.
All right, thank you. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot QRZ. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. The Victor Echo Station. Okay, I'm sorry. I got the Victor Echo 3 and I got a little bit of the suffix there. Can you give me the full call sign again, please?
Delta uniform Quebec. Delta uniform Quebec.
All right, Victor Echo 3, Delta Uniform Quebec. Jeremy, got you in the log there, my friend. I got some static crashes. 4-5, 45. All right, thank you for the 5-5 from Ontario, my friend. Have a great day today in 73. All right, thank you. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot QRZ. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. Kilo Delta 2, Yankee India Oscar. Jeff, good morning, 5-9.
Got your 5-4, delivery Yankee QSL.
Copy the 5-4 in New York, my friend. Thank you for the contact in 73. All right, thank you. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot QRZ. Whiskey 8 Charlie Papa Romeo. Colleen, good morning, 5-9.
Thanks for the 5-9 and your 5-7 here in Michigan.
All right, thank you for Michigan this morning. Have a great day today in 73.
73, have fun out there today.
All righty, thank you. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot QRZ. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ Parks on the air, CQ Parks on the air. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by.
Kilo 9, Oscar Bravo.
Kilo 9, Oscar Bravo. Jeffrey, good morning, 5-9 plus.
You're 5-9 Michigan. Thank you.
All right, thank you for Michigan. Have a great day today in 73. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot QRZ. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. All right, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot going QSY to 20 meters. All right. Bucky's Cup, but not Bucky's Coffee. So unfortunately, we don't have a Bucky's here. So I'm going to play around. StreamYard's got a chat. No, sorry, chat, not chat. A poll function. I'm going to throw it in here. I'm hoping it goes across multiple platforms. YouTube, you can throw polls in, and problem with that, obviously, is just YouTube, and when you're streaming across different platforms, that could cause some confusion. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this up here now. But when you practice the dark art of POTA, do you like to activate, hunt, activate and hunt, or what is POTA? So let me know your thoughts there in the poll. You can go ahead and get a new frequency.
November Yankee
Mike, calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by.
Oh, 20-meter station sounded pretty good. What was it 280? Oh, well. Somebody on 283. 280. Is the frequency in use? November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot. Is the frequency in use? November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. I'm going to go ahead and stop the poll here. It looks like everybody that's going to answer is going to answer. Seems that big majority activate and hunt. That's good. That's good. Nobody said they didn't know what POTA was, and I guess that's also good too. So. CQ Parks on the air. CQ Parks on the air. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by.
Kilowatt Delta 6 Juliet.
Kilo Delta 6 Juliet. David, good morning. You are 5'9".
Hey, good morning to you. I got you about a 5 and 2, 52 down here in Texas. Tango X-ray, Roger.
I copied 5-2 into Texas, my friend. Thank you for the contact this morning at 73.
Okay, 7-3 to you. Good luck. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, you were Zed.
Kilo Bravo 5, Uniform Tango Yankee.
Kilo Bravo 5, Uniform Tango Yankee. Dave, the mesh dealer. Good morning, 5-9.
Good morning. You're about 5-5, 5-7, depending on band conditions. Have fun.
All right, Dave, thank you for the contact this morning. 73, my friend.
73.
All right, thank you. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, you were Zed. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ Parks on the air, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. Jared says I'm way down in the noise floor in Florida. Dave says I usually start my activations hunting, but sometimes I try activating by hunting only. That's fair. That's fair. Rob says no copy in New Jersey. And Jason says true. And John saying nothing in his waterfall. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. Hey, John, what's the muff map look like right now? CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot, calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. John says most of the U.S. is greater than 14. So, well, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot going QSY to 10 meters. Oh, wrong way. All right. Well, I'm going to set up in the technician portion of the band here. Let's see. Look at the spotting. I don't hear anybody. That doesn't mean they're not there. Well, I think we're good. We're free. At least on as POTA's concerned. is the frequency in use. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot. Is the frequency in use. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot. Is the frequency in use. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot. CQ Parks on the air. CQ Parks on the air. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. Oh, hey, look. Somebody there. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot going kiss wide at 15 meters. All right. Well, let's go find a 15-meter frequency then. 320. I don't usually use 15 meters, so just want to verify. Okay. Well within the general portion of the band. Is the frequency in use? November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot. Is the frequency in use? November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot. Is the frequency in use? November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot. CQ Parks on the air. CQ Parks on the air. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. They're saying nothing in Missouri. John's nothing in Pennsylvania on 15 either. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ Parks on the air. CQ Parks on the air. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. Cooley says he's got a problem with his hex beam. High SWR on all bands except for 11 meters. Huh. You've been playing on the CB band? And Greg says nothing in central New York right now. Yeah, John, I've actually I bought the kit and then I haven't done anything with it, but I need to get it put together. So I got so tied up last year with work and that big migration up to Azure that I pretty much parked everything. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air from US 4215, the Morgan-Monroe State Forest. November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. CQ POTA, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot calling CQ Parks on the air and standing by. All right, November Whiskey 9 Foxtrot going QRT, QRT, QRT. All right. Well, that's how it rolls sometimes, right? Sometimes it's feast or famine. I'll come back out later today. I did have 10 contacts. So as we know, 10 is what you need to activate. Sometimes you get some contacts that for whatever reason don't validate. And so generally, the rule of thumb is maybe do a couple extras. And when it's feast, that's generally not a problem. I think the other night I worked 100 contacts over the day, because I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. One session over 2 UTC days. So a lot of times I will come over here to the park at 7 o'clock, especially in the summertime. I'll come over to the park and I'll start on 20 meters, 7:15 Eastern, and still got a good window to the West Coast. So I'll work California stations, Washington, British Columbia. I'll get that whole part of the West Coast. I don't get much Idaho and stuff, and kind of like the just east of the western West Coast states. Sometime around like 7:45, I'll switch over to 40 and work a bunch of people kind of closer, because that time of night 40 is kind of like it is right now, where it's more regional. So I'll get about a 400 500 mile range. Sometimes I'm down into Florida and Texas. Most of the time it's maybe Alabama, Georgia, most of the West Coast. I'm sorry, most of the East Coast. Not so much up into Maine, but sometimes it depends. And then definitely British Columbia. I get a lot of British Columbia stations, which, everybody thinks like the Canadian border is at the 49th parallel, which it is. I mean, that's a large majority of it. I think it's the longest contiguous border in the world between two nations. But I guess a whole lot of people don't actually live in that portion. That the majority of Canadians across the country, the largest part of their population is actually south of the 49th parallel. So it's they're in Ontario. I think that's the province. But so Chicago, Detroit, those in that same layer. So it's kind of interesting. So I get a lot of Canadian stations, but when you think about it, I'm in Indianapolis, and that's a couple hundred miles from Lake Michigan, and then west of Lake Michigan and up, or I'm sorry, east of Lake Michigan and up is Canada. So it's not that big of a deal. Well, guys, we are running out of time here. Just look at the quick map. I think maybe. Not a whole lot of contacts. Got 2 20-meter contacts down here in Texas. Dave, our mesh dealer, Dave, and KD6 Juliet, and then the rest of them up here on 40 meters. But once again, that's about that 450 mile cycle there, or radius. So 10 Qs and 12 minutes of actual on-air time, 2 bands, and 2 countries. So 2 DXCCs. Well, everybody, have a great Sunday. Looks like it's going to be a nice day here, and
Ron is asking how far away is your home park? Mine is about 8 miles. I'm literally 20, I think it's 23,000 acres. The park is, and so it goes over a lot of area around here that's not usable. But yeah, it just I'm a cornfield away from it. At some parts where I'm at right now, 3-4 miles from the house. A lot of it depends on internet access as far as doing that. So, but hey guys, have a great day today and enjoy the weather. Get out, get on the air, do an activation, and have some fun. Chris says Chris is about 2 miles from as the crow flies. But Big Jim and T.O. are up next. Go check them out. Let them know the fat guy with the beard sent you. And everybody, enjoy the weekend. We will talk at you later. 73.